All right, welcome back to a new episode. So, there's been a lot of good news going on for a lot of programs out there, and there's a lot of stadium expansions, stadium renovations. So, today we're going to go through some of them. So, first things first, SMU. So, Southern Methodist has got an invite from the ACC conference, and looks like they're going to be doing a stadium expansion. So let's take a look. There's been a lot going on with conference realignment, and like I've mentioned on a couple of episodes before, programs that are in the group of five, they have to take advantage of some of these opportunities. You have to be willing to expand or renovate your stadium. That way you can take advantage and join a Power 5 conference, or Power 4 now. That way you'll have an opportunity at a national championship. So congratulations to Southern Methodist. They've inked a deal with the ACC. However, to make this move happen, the Mustangs will give up ACC media rights revenue for the first 9 years in the conference. So some of you might be thinking, hey, what the heck's up with that? Why would they do that? Well, looks like because of the conference realignment, Florida State, Clemson have mentioned that they're interested in leaving the conference. The media rights deal apparently lasts I think about 9 more years, maybe longer. So what does that mean? That means that in the ACC, even though Florida State and Clemson, especially Clemson, are really the strongest teams in the conference, they feel like they should be given a lot more, a hefty portion of the media rights money. But the way the ACC's media rights deal is, that's not happening. All the schools in the ACC divvy up that media rights money equally. So because that deal lasts for so much longer, I'm assuming, now this is a guess, but it's pretty much clear, but even though SMU will be joining the ACC, they won't be entitled to any of that ACC media rights revenue for 9 years. Now, for SMU, they don't care. I mean, not that they don't care, but that's still a great deal for them. Why? Because they get to join a Power 4 conference. So, screw the media money. If you got to sit out for the media deal money for 9 years, who cares? Why? Because guess what? They're in a Power 4 conference. Do in response to hearing that they will be accepted into the ACC, but they won't be entitled to any media funds for 9 years. They raised $159 million. So their boosters got together and within a short span put together $160 million to make sure that SMU will be able to compete in the ACC. So congratulations to SMU. That was incredible that their boosters got together in a short amount of time and made this happen for their athletics program. This is going to be a huge boon for SMU, and I just want to give them a shout out and congratulations. So this is Gerald Ford Stadium, and as we take a look, let's take a quick look and see maybe where that $160 million could be used best to help the SMU Mustangs. So if we take a look, SMU's got a great stadium. It's got a great design. It's very symmetrical. I actually like their stadium. Now currently it sits at 32,000 seats, which is par for the course for a group of 5 program. Now that they're going to be going up to the ACC, they're going to have to make some changes to this stadium in order to compete. Don't let people feed you false information. I'm telling you, when recruits come to your campus, this is what they want to see. They want to see what that stadium looks like. They want to envision themselves making plays and being a star in that stadium. And the best teams typically have the best stadiums. Not only the biggest, but typically the nicest. As far as modern features, signage, usually, the best teams have the best facilities. I'll leave it at that. Now, the main thing that we see when we look at this stadium is we see they started off with a great design. It's got great symmetry, but right away we take a look and see that that's wide open. It doesn't mean the stadium looks bad, but you need to enclose this right here. That's priority number one, and SMU knows that. Why? Because they've got a stadium expansion in the works right now to enclose this section here. That's going to give them a better home field advantage, and it also help the noise, make sure it stays loud and violent in here. And like I've said before, a lot of teams, the enemy to expansion is capacity and attendance. What does that mean? That means that a lot of teams stay comfortable here, and it's not the team itself, it's the athletics department as far as expansion. A lot of times they're fearful of, when they built this, they're fearful of go ahead and bringing this around instead of sitting at 32, maybe enclosing this and being at about 50. They're fearful. They'd rather stay at around the 30K number because they're confident they can fill this stadium. Having said that, their expansion is not going to look like this. Just like we took a look at the Florida State Stadium. Oftentimes when you see a team with their back against the wall where they're kind of forced to make some decision, typically we don't see an expansion that looks like the rest of their stadium. Typically we see something where the university decides to go in a different direction and go towards a direction that has VIP seating, press box style seating, and chairback seating. Why? Because even though that will enclose this section, it won't require a lot of fans to fill it. So like, here, this is regular bleacher seating, this is going to take, let's say this end zone section here, this is going to take 10, 15, maybe 20,000 butts to fill this section. So let's take a look at what SMU has chosen to do. All right, here we are. So this is the expansion for Gerald Ford Stadium. Here is the end zone section, and as we can see, they've gone with a more comfortable seating, lower capacity end zone section. However, what it does accomplish is enclosing this open section right here, which is good. You want to have a fully enclosed stadium. They've also got a large video board jumbotron here, which is good. It's great. It's going to help with the game day environment. One downside we do see here and here is there's going to be a slight section here that isn't enclosed. A lot of you may not know, there is a rule, I believe it started about 20 years ago, for ADA compliance. So what that means is there are, if you renovate or expand a section, you are required to make a section or accommodations for disabled persons. So if people are in wheelchairs or something like that. So if they were to actually build out and expand this, if they were to touch this in any way, they would be forced to make these sections, or whatever they touch, they would be forced to make ADA accommodations. So often you'll see teams expand, but they will not touch the existing sections here, which is fine. Most likely, they will have some ADA accommodations here, which is probably something they were going to do anyway, because this is not going to be, to give a huge increase to capacity. This is going to help capacity. This is now going to be a 45,000 seat stadium, which is great for SMU. SMU's come a long way. And let's take a look at the fully complete version of this section. This is the rendering of the completed end zone section. There were a lot of boosters that got together and made this happen, so we do see Garry Weber end zone complex there. So just kind of like I mentioned before, these are going to be chair back seats. There will be an older crowd, that older demographic that will be drawn to this section, which is fine. Also, we have more covered press box like VIP seating here, which is it going to help them compete in the ACC? Yes. Will they be likely to dominate Clemson and Florida State in this? Probably not, but it is going in the right direction for SMU. Like I mentioned before, we can see these sections here where that was most likely purposely not touched for the sections for the reasons I mentioned earlier. And they also have something here. This looks like Armstrong Football Center. So you usually see that as well, where there's probably something under here, probably new locker rooms or probably a weight room, or who knows what they're going to use this section for. But this render looks great to me. It's definitely taken SMU in the right direction. The video board looks great, and it'll be fun to look and see what happens this season with SMU and the ACC.
Girl, you know I got it if you ever need